Welcome to day 13 in our study of the book of Ecclesiastes. Our lesson for today is entitled, God Keeps Him Occupied with a Joy in His Heart. Our verses for today are found in Ecclesiastes chapter 5. We'll be reading verses 8 through 20. If you see in a province the oppression of the poor and the violation of justice and righteousness, do not be amazed at the matter. For the high official is watched by a higher, and there are yet higher ones over them. But this is gain for a land in every way, a king committed to cultivated fields. He who loves money will not be satisfied with money, nor he who loves wealth with his income. This also is vanity. When goods increase, they increase who eat them. And what advantage has their owner but to see them with his eyes? Sweet is the sleep of a laborer, whether he eats little or much, but the stomach of the rich will not let him sleep. There is a grievous evil that I have seen under the sun. Riches were kept by their owner to his hurt, and those riches were lost in a bad venture. And he is father of a son, but he has nothing in his hand. As he came from his mother's womb, he shall go again, naked as he came, and shall take nothing for his toil that he may carry away in his hand. This also is a grievous evil. Just as he came, so shall he go. And what gain is there to him who toils for the wind? Moreover, all his days he eats in darkness, in much vexation and sickness and anger. Behold, what I have seen to be good and fitting is to eat and drink and find enjoyment in all the toil with which one toils under the sun, the few days of his life that God has given him. For this is his lot. Everyone also to whom God has given wealth and possessions and power to enjoy them, and to accept his lot and rejoice in his toil, this is the gift of God. For he will not much remember the days of his life, because God keeps him occupied with joy in his heart. Things that bring me peace of mind: a walk in the woods, a walk on the beach, a walk in the rain, a walk to the mailbox, a walk in the park. There's a pattern here. Other things that bring me peace: sitting on the back deck watching birds, sitting by the campfire watching the flames, sitting on a park bench, sitting in a rocking chair taking a nap. There's a pattern there too. What is that pattern? I know. It's me. I'm there in the moment. Not in the past and not in the future. Just here in the now. You may be familiar with the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It is the model prayer for 12-step programs that centers the individual to live one day at a time. This version is a variation of the original penned by Reinhold Niebuhr in the 1930s. It's not hard to understand why just the first words can prompt the hearer to instantly recognize and join in its completion. Serenity. The word itself is almost an onomatopoeia. It flows off the tongue with such ease. Serenity. We long for peace and serenity in our lives, in our world, and yes, in our minds. Sadly, though, it is so seldom found in the chaos of life, work, and even our sleep. It's not like a definition that we can look up and voila, we understand and grasp its meaning. Ah, yes, serenity. There it is. I'll take it in like a nice, cool drink of water. It's not so easy, though, is it? What if Solomon had chosen to end his book right here in the last verse of chapter 5? That might answer a few questions as it pertains to the temporary relief from the day-to-day drudgery of our lives, and some days that might be just enough. But wait, there's more, as they say. So stick with the book to the end. You'll be glad you did. Yet, here in this moment of clarity that Solomon gives us, we find a hidden treasure buried right here in the middle. Right here in chapter 5, Solomon divides the world into two easily recognizable groups. The first group, unbeknownst to themselves, labors on and on with no relief in sight. Almost like that donkey who is chasing a carrot dangled right in front of him. But he'll never quite catch it, try though he may. There in verse 12 we read, "Sweet is the sleep of a laborer, whether he eats little or much, but the full stomach of the rich will not let him sleep." Imagine that feeling. I should be happy. I have everything, but I'm just not happy. A couple of lessons ago, we talked about Solomon's falling away from God. We notice his lack of the use of the covenant relationship name Lord, or Jehovah, replaced with God, Elohim. Here in the final 3 verses of chapter 5, Solomon references God as the one who is responsible for the ability of each person to enjoy the life that they have. He tells us this is the gift of God. But we get the very distinct feeling that while Solomon knows what it is he pursues, he hasn't quite found it yet. He hasn't quite taken, as it were, that long, cool drink of water. Again, we peer into the New Testament for the understanding of what the schoolmaster was leading those of the Old Testament toward. When James tells us in James 4:13 through 15, "Come now, you who say, 'Today or tomorrow we will go into such and such a town and spend a year there and trade and make a profit.' Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, 'If the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that.'" If the Lord wills. That isn't to say we have no part in the plans that God has for us, but ultimately we leave it all in His hands. The Apostle Paul would often remark of his plans, but with the understanding, if it is the Lord's will. In Acts chapter 18, verse 21, we read, "But on taking leave of them, he said, 'I will return to you if God wills.' And he set sail from Ephesus." And Paul writes in Romans 1:10, "Always in my prayers asking that somehow by God's will I may know at last succeed in coming to you." Again in 1 Corinthians 4:19, "But I will come to you soon if the Lord wills, and I will find out not the talk of these arrogant people, but their power." And in Ecclesiastes 5:20 we read, "For he will not much remember the days of his life, because God keeps him occupied with joy in his heart." How interesting the idea that this one who has been given such a gift by God to enjoy what he has been given, that this person is not consumed by the past, but lives in the moment. Not living in the moment, but living it with joy in his heart as well. Have you found that joy in your heart today, in your labors? And Lord willing, let's meet here again tomorrow and look at another lesson in the book of Ecclesiastes.